Hi everyone, it's Jason Vale Podcast, everybody.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Welcome. Listen, I don't know where you are. Where are you? On the beach? You might be lucky listening on the beach somewhere. You could be in the gym, could be making dinner for the kids. I mean, I don't know where you are, but thank you very much for your company. I am honoured to be joined by TV presenter extraordinaire. She's also a health advocate, runs like nobody I know. It's the one and only. It is the legend that is already Jenni Falconer, everybody. I got the name right. By the way, just before we came on, I said, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Falconer? No.
Well, you know, loads of people say it a different way. The correct way, the way I say it, is Falconer. Like, you know the bird, the falcon?
Yes.
And then falcon.
Oh, okay, falcon.
But then, as Eamon Holmes points out, he says falcon. And that throws us.
And in America, what do they do?
Falconer.
Listen, your podcast, I'm bringing up your podcast and my podcast, but straight away, because I love your podcast. I don't listen to that many podcasts.
Well, you were a guest. You were a brilliant guest.
Well, the fact that you had me on as a guest was amazing. It's got such a following, your podcast.
It's doing really well, actually. Well, I had this idea a while ago, and it's called Run Pod, and it's basically about the feel-good of running. So you don't have to win ultra marathons to listen. It's just about the feel-good and why we do it, when we hate it, when we love it, what brings us back. And actually, we found that quite a lot of people out there do run. It's one of the fastest growing hobbies or pastimes out there. I mean, back in the 70s, it was only people, you know, like the 118 man. It was all people like that ran, wasn't it?
Jogging had kind of been invented in a way. Yeah. You know, like jogging wasn't a thing. I suppose it's an odd concept, isn't it? So you're not really going anywhere. You don't need to be anywhere. And you're just stepping outside and running. So I've got a lot to cover because I want to ask, again, a day in the life of all this kind of stuff, what you eat nutritionally and everything else, because you look incredible. You always have, but you look incredible. Your skin's amazing. You obviously eat well, weirdly, and this is a coincidence, but you're on day 3 of the...
I know.
Of the juice
I don't know if I should tell him, because I booked in. It's been in my freezer. This is a Juice Master delivered, and I'm doing for the first time ever your blend one, Juice Blend. This is a new one. Yeah, Juice and Blend. We've got blends and juice together. But anyway, it was pure coincidence. I want to talk about some of that stuff as well. But running, to get back to that, because it's become a real passion for you. So presumably you've run half marathons. Talk us through it. How many have you done? Have you run a marathon? I'm presuming you have. Yeah, so I've done 8 marathons. The thing is, I'm quite lazy. So I live in London, and I've only ever run the London Marathon because it's really easy just to get a tube to the start line and at the end get a tube home again.
I like the way you say it's really easy.
It's like,
it's really easy. You know,
it's like the lazy option, the lazy runner's guide to
I've
a marathon.
done the London Marathon. The fact that you can get to the start line easier doesn't make the 26.2 miles any easier. It's a long way.
Yeah, well, it's still difficult, but then, you know, at the end you just get home pretty quickly and you're in a bath and drinking a glass of wine before you know it.
I can't walk afterwards. I remember doing the New York Marathon. I did the New York Marathon on nothing but juice and the London Marathon on nothing but juice.
I know, I can't believe you did a whole marathon because everyone's going, oh, you must carb load, blah, 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 but you didn't.
No, I didn't. I just juiced, right, before each one. The challenge was, as you know, on our episode of Run Pod, I never trained, right? So, which is the most stupid thing in the world, obviously. You need to train. And that's why I genuinely couldn't walk around New York after. I couldn't walk. I couldn't go downstairs.
I did train for a marathon a few years ago, one of the marathons I did, and I crossed the finish line. My toes, my feet are tragic now, but my toes had pretty much doubled in size. And so they took my socks off. I'm really sorry if you're eating or drinking at this minute in time. And they took photos because they'd never seen such disgusting feet. And what had happened is the toenails... had come out the beds and had then gone back into my toe, but not where they're meant to. In my toe. So actually they were slicing my toes open and then they'd swollen. I could feel this from about mile 5. I was like, something's going on in my feet. So my feet were really bad. And then so they took my socks off. But then I couldn't get my shoes or my socks back on. Said to take all the insoles out my trainers. And I remember meeting my husband and daughter, and I literally walked like a sloth towards them, just slow motion. And they just were like, you are a sorry state of a person.
If you're listening to somebody who doesn't give up, you can tell this already. Just a throwaway little comment you made there. Oh, and it kind of came on mile 5. Mile 5, that's coming on mile 5. I'm leaving the race. I'm getting on the tube line if I live in London, and I'm going home for that bath that you mentioned. I'm guessing you're the kind of person that if you're going to do a marathon, nothing will stop. You are definitely getting to that finish line regardless.
Look, there are lots of people that really struggle to get round a marathon because of an illness or because of an injury.
Hard.
And because it's hard. But then just because it's hard is not enough reason to struggle. It's challenging to everyone. I mean, Mo Farah, I presume there's some element of a challenge out there when you're sort of Kipchoge, when they're sprinting at the front there. But for people like me, It is difficult, it is hard, but that's one of the brilliant things about the marathon. Anyone can have a go at taking part in this insane race.
So you've done eight marathons.
Yeah.
Have you done half marathons as well?
Done loads of. Do you know? I don't know how many half marathons I've done. Done quite a few.
You just like for fun.
I like them. I really
like them. You
Yeah.
love running, don't you? And like you work in the heart of London here, literally in the heart of London. That's Radio Heart FM, mate. But your morning show on Heart FM is so early. I mean, in terms of for you to get there, it's 4 till 6:30, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's when I'm on air.
That's when you're on air. But you need to get there much earlier than that, presumably, too.
Well, I mean, yes. You know, I've mastered the art of getting there in time and with enough time to prep. So I get up about 2:30. Sometimes I have been known to snooze a significant number of times.
Up at 2:30.
Are you a snoozer? I'm a hit snooze person now. So now what I do is I quite often allow enough time to hit snooze like 5 times. It's totally pointless. If I just got up when my alarm went off, I'd have more sleep.
I don't know, I know you would, but I think there's a lovely psychology in snoozing. I'm on the other side of the fence with that. I think there's something about you wake up and you realise you haven't got to get up yet. There's a kind of although you don't get back to sleep,
8 more minutes.
It's a little bonus. It feels like a bonus. Whereas if it did, because 8 minutes doesn't make that much
and
difference.
you can have an insane dream in 8 minutes. I know that.
I'm sure you can.
You really can. So I can have a few of them, and then I get up and I leave my house around 3, and then I'm at work around past, and then I prep my show on the way in, and then just before.
So how far is your house from the studio?
It's about 7.5 miles away.
7.5 miles away. So when I read that nonchalantly, sometimes I just run home.
Yeah. Well, why not?
Listen, I genuinely think it's genius. I'm all for it. It's just very, very few people. You don't understand how unusual this is.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is, so I turn up to work in the morning, and because I'm going to run home, I'm on the radio. What do I need? So I've got my phone. You can have your credit card on your phone.
Okay.
So you don't need anything else. I have a phone holder that I just have on my sleeve, and quite often I'll take a lip gloss because that's, you can't do
Yeah, I do
like
always,
that.
especially when I'm running.
So I've got my phone, I've got my house key, which I've singled down to one key, and I put that in my kind of arm wallet thing. The phone goes in there, headphones, and that's it. And I turn up at work, and they're like, "Where's your stuff?" I'm like, "What stuff?" They're like, "Your stuff, like your stuff." And I'm like, "Well, I don't need anything. I'm just coming to do a radio show." And I've prepped it all on my phone and done all my research and whatever. And then when I finish the show, I'm good. I run home.
It's 7.5 miles. And there's an element of freedom in all of what you just said, because running to me equals freedom. There's something beautiful about running, putting your trainers on, as you've mentioned. Actually, I'm not often in London. And as part of the hotel...
Isn't it great running in London, though? Like being a sightseer, being a tourist.
It is genuinely extraordinary. I absolutely love it. Where I'm staying is attached to a gym. They've got some passes just around the corner. And I went in the gym yesterday morning, and I suddenly thought to myself, what am I doing in the gym? And I thought, St James's Park is around the corner. What am I doing? And so just started running around London, around St James's Park, and you go, okay, this is actually quite special.
Yeah, because if I went to New York, or if I went to Mallorca, or anywhere actually, and I was going to do some exercise, the first thing I would do is put my trainers on and get outside. New York, I would go down to Central Park, do a little run round.
Just a little run round, probably about, I'm just jogging to Lanzarote.
Wherever I am, if I'm down your way, south of Spain, I go and run along the promenade. It's amazing. And that's what I would do. I'd go and do some exercise outside, go for a run, explore, kind of have a look around. You get to know an area so much better.
Well, you do. And this is why I think I mentioned it on your podcast, that I always say to people that even if you don't run a marathon, I say, when is there a time when a city closes for you? So they just close out. I would advise anyone, if you're listening to this now and you think, I can't do a marathon, look, put a rucksack on, walk it. I mean, they've closed the city down for you. Take a camera, say hello to people, put your name on the front of your shirt. People you don't know will go on, Jason, way to go. It's a great day out, even if you don't run it. And inevitably people say, oh, well, what time? It's funny, isn't it? Some people, do you find this as well, Jen, that some people that literally, they couldn't even run a bath. And yet, sometimes when they're talking to you, they go, well, what time did you do it in?
People are obsessed with times, and actually it doesn't mean anything. And also, you could tell them the time, and then that question's over, and they don't know what to ask next. I think the time question is, it doesn't really mean anything. Like they don't. Oh, that's good. I don't. What's good though? If you got 3 hours, or they go good. You're still an hour off the winner. You know, if I say 4 hours, I'm still double the time of the person that won, but they'll be like, I don't know what their benchmark is for good or bad, but it's irrelevant. The fact that you ran 26.2 miles is really key. And I never really bother about time. In fact, I haven't often put my time up anymore. I just kind of
I would
I've
say
done
when
it.
I did mine, and people always inevitably, well, what time do you do? And I go, quicker than you. Quicker than the people that didn't get out of bed.
Yeah, it's so
always
true.
quick. You know, I did it faster than any of those people. That's for sure.
Do you know when I first wanted to do a marathon? It's like so I've been running for a while, and I used to go to the gym on a Sunday morning and do a run on the treadmill. And every year on the Sunday morning, obviously the marathon would be on the telly, and I would run watching the marathon, and I'd run for ages. I'd run for a couple of hours on the treadmill, just watching people run. And I'd be like, then eventually I got to the point where I was like, I can't watch them, I should be with them. And then I started making kind of like a little bit of a song.
Do you know,
and
you're one of
dance.
the very few people I know that. So I used to do that with half marathons, in particular ones that were obviously being televised, and I would go to the gym specifically on the day and start at the same time on the treadmill. And I used to think, right, well, if they're doing it, I'm doing it. And it's a funny thing, isn't it? You're the only other person I know that ever did that. So in terms of nutrition, let's get back.
I'm really bad with this, the nutrition thing.
What I was going to say, is that why? Because I know a lot of people that use juicing, they will use it in the same way that you put your car in for a service, right? So you're not particularly good most of the time, but actually you need a 7-day or a 5-day, put your car in for a service, get back out, and then good to go.
Actually, I'm not very good in nutrition. I should probably have a plan, and I should really be on top. I should plan the week, know what I'm eating. It's difficult. I've got a little girl who's just turned 8. I've got a husband who's annoying.
Well, I met him a couple of times. He's just turned 8 as well, isn't he?
Yes,
I'm only joking. I'm only joking.
But between us, I'll cook and my husband will go, well, I don't want that. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a nightmare. Cooking for the family is really difficult. And so I find it quite hard to plan meals on that front. I get up and go to work at 3 and I'm not hungry, don't want breakfast then. And then I run afterwards. I don't really know when to have breakfast. And then when I do have it, I don't know really what to have.
So do you normally, for example, you're on day 3 of Juice and Blend at the moment. So when would you fit that in? Because the timings that we have on the app or the suggestion when you get the juice delivered, of course, those timings are in.
I mean, I'm going rogue, totally rogue.
I was going to say,
you're probably not going to approve.
Well, listen.
So hang on. So I had Juice 1 this morning at 4 a.m. when I'm on air. So I kind of sip it between 4 and 6. So that's what I do, just kind of because I'm working, so it's there. And then I've been working constantly since then. I went to the gym straight after work. So I went to like a CrossFit class, and then I've been working ever since. So it's now 2 o'clock and I'm on Juice 2.
Well, now you're back on the normal programme.
But I've had, see, that's good then. But I had a banana. I'm allowed a banana, haven't I? So I had a banana, and I've been drinking water, and I've had a couple of herbal teas.
And that is the key. You know, you've got to keep hydrated, and you've got to be sensible about listening to your body. We call it a hunger SOS. Yeah. So banana classed as hunger SOS and avocado hunger SOS. So you do this a few times, and you do 5 days or 3 days or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I do. I tend to do the 5-day one mostly. This time I'm doing a 7-day. And the reason I do it is because the way I describe it to people is that by the end, I've done it a few times, and by the end, I feel like my eyes sparkle. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I get up at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm tired a lot of the time. I feel like I'm sometimes a bit narcoleptic, so I fall asleep mid-conversation. And I don't mean that in a rude way. It's awful. I genuinely do fall asleep mid-conversation, especially in the evenings. And it's because my day's been quite long, but I do feel that if I had the right nutrition, I would probably be much healthier. So what I have to do is I have to reset every now and again. And then there are weeks like this week, which is really busy. And also I have a few shoots on and whatnot. And so I don't want to pump my body full of rubbish. And also I know that if I'm busy, it's easier to stick to it.
Do you know, it's a great way to think, because a lot of people think the complete opposite. So what a lot of people do, especially when it comes to nutrition or health, I'm really busy this week. There's no way.
Oh, it's easier when you're busy, because then there's less temptation, because you're like, okay, I'm too busy to go to the cupboard and eat those biscuits.
I agree, but if people are looking for excuses why they're particularly not doing it, even if they're telling themselves it, then being busy is, well, I'm in London, I'm busy, and there's too many food outlets, and there's this, that, and the other. And because here, I mean, you know, where I live now is completely different. Here in London, literally on every corner there's a Pret. On every corner there's this. I was talking to somebody last night. I said, if I lived in London again, I'd probably be obese. I mean, there's eateries everywhere. So for you to come in and just drink juice and do shoots and do a radio show and do this, because when you're tired, your blood sugar levels go lower. But of course, a lot of people don't realise is that that eating the wrong foods makes you tired.
See, I think I'm acclimatized to the lack of sleep, maybe.
Right, okay.
But I need to just balance out the bad food. And also, yesterday I was on a shoot. And I was with some amazing people doing an amazing shoot. And at lunchtime, in came all the delicious foods. And they're like, Jenny, do you want something? And I'm like, no, I'm all right. I'm all right, thank you. And they're just like, why isn't she eating? And there I am over in the corner.
But when you say bad food, let's put this in perspective. When you say, and I'll get on the bad food, what is bad? I reckon even a day in the life of Jenny Bad is
more
most people's
storage.
good.
You know what it is? It's all the storage. It's all the sugars. It's stuff that's not fresh. And I'm not a very good cook. I don't experiment with cooking. I really
When
would
have you
do.
got the time?
I hate cooking. I'll be honest. I don't like it. So I buy a lot of ready-made stuff, or I'll do a lot of salads or stir fries because then at least I know it's not, just come out a pack. But I'm not very good. Convenience food is far too convenient for me.
So you obviously look really well and you exercise and everything else. Would you say exercise is more important, not more important, but you focus much more on the exercise than you do nutrition?
So this is the problem. So for me, I will work out all the time. So I therefore can think that I can turn a blind eye to the nutrition. But I think there's going to come a point where actually that makes no difference.
Yeah, but I wonder when that is. I mean, if you're running 8 miles, I always say you can't outrun a hamburger, but actually I think you could. I think that's the difference. Because a lot of people make the mistake of, again, they do that kind of calorie thing that calories don't even make any sense, but they pretend they do and they think it's a science. And so what they do is they go, actually, if I go on the treadmill...
Or they burn the calories they're eating.
They'll burn the calories they're eating. That's what they think. And so even if they're trying to do that, they're not doing the maths correctly either. But if they have something like a Mars bar or something like that, they go, I just go on the treadmill. Now, I don't know, because you run outside and stuff, but when you go to a gym, it's the difference between going, I've been in the gym for 2 hours. Fine.
What have you done?
But what have you done? I saw it yesterday morning. I thought they got a lot of social media done.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that come out looking exactly the same as they went in.
Exactly the same. They're just doing a bit of social media, or they're running at a pace on a treadmill that you think, if you're there, be there.
Yeah. I think if you're going to have a workout, I want to, at the end of the workout, I want to have sweat.
Yeah. Important.
I want to look red in the face, and I want to have a shower. That's basically tick. That's me.
So that's probably why.
out.
Do you do yoga or anything like that?
I've done yoga in the past. I used to do a hot yoga.
Yeah, of course, because it introduces sweat, you see.
Yeah,
that's probably why.
I liked it. And also I felt like it was a bit more dynamic as well. I'm really into CrossFit. I'm not the strongest person in the room by a long shot, but I like lifting weights, and I feel that it's toning me up and making me stronger for more running as well.
Yeah, I get.
And I do a lot of golf as well. I'm obsessed with golf.
You do golf? Do you do any sport though? You can tell that somebody who has never picked up a golf bat in his life.
A golf bat, I love it.
Yeah, no, I always try.
But you live in it. You have the most amazing properties in areas where the golf is dream scenario.
Yeah, there is, but I mean, it's a nightmare for me. But there you go. I mean, people love it. They get a little ball. They get any old iron. They go, well, let's hit this little ball with an iron, and then just walk half a mile, and then hit it again.
Yeah.
And then find a flat bit of ground that's knocking around somewhere with a hole in it.
I only started it a year and a half ago.
Oh, you were in trouble.
And I exactly had your attitude. Oh my God. And then I started, and then I realised it's 4 hours outside. You carry the bag if you want, and you walk fast, so you do get a bit of a workout. Actually,
did I see on your Instagram you got a coach? Is that a coach that I see you with?
I do. I train every now and again with someone.
Yeah, I saw that with the inside.
Yeah, he gives me
like an
drills.
inside outside.
So that's a driving range.
It's a driving range.
Yeah.
My theory is this: everybody I've talked to about golf, and maybe you've reached stage a year and a half in, and it is a great sport. I was teasing, and like you said, plenty of fresh air, plenty of walks, and you can all of those things, and it is it looks.
It's really sociable, really sociable.
It looks really difficult. The challenge is, do you get to the point where, this is my theory with golf, when you first start, am I right in thinking if you hit a good shot, you're over the moon, you've had a great day. There comes a point soon after that actually you just hate yourself.
There's definitely, you're like, oh, a great shot. And then there'll be another time where you hit the ball into a bush and that's your ball lost. You're like, oh my gosh. And then you always go, well, that's just a one-off. And then you go again and it's straight back in the bush. You're like, oh my God. And then you hate yourself. And then you can be really destroyed. And then you hit a good shot and you're like, yeah, I'm back.
See, that's the thing. I might go and have a little bat. I mean, patience.
It is. It's just something that's really great when you finish work at 6:30 in the morning and you need to pass the time between finishing work and school pickup. And if I haven't got another job, I'm like, well, golf.
Do you know what? I don't know anybody else that finishes work and then is waiting to do the school run in the morning. You wake up so early. I just looked through some of the info that someone like Google or
you got some dodgy facts.
Or Yahoo or Bing. Don't forget there's Bing as well. Probably everybody knows this about you. Your career seems to have kicked off in 1994 when you was on Blind Date.
I was. I was at school and the auditions came to town and it's like the circus came to town. And me and all my mates were in the sixth form doing A-levels. And I went, well, I think I might go and audition. Loads of my friends went, yeah, we're going to come. Because we thought that the answers they gave on the show were rubbish. We're like, well, we could do better answers than that. So
and did you write your own answers, though? No, it didn't.
So we just went down to audition. And it was like X Factor auditions. You had to queue. Yeah. There were hundreds or maybe thousands of people that applied. But anyway, you get whittled down. There's more auditions. And then one day I got a phone call. We'd like you to come on and we'd like you to be a picker. So I didn't even have to answer a question. I had to ask a question.
Oh, that's good. So you knew you were going on the date?
Yeah, guaranteed holiday, which apparently you weren't allowed to say holiday, you had to say date. So I knew I was going on it. I just left school. I was waiting for my A-level results and they kind of said it's happening. And then during my freshers week at uni, I went off and filmed Blind Date. So I turned up to uni late. People were like, where have you been? I was I was filming Blind Date.
You did a radio interview, from what I gather, and said you wanted to work in TV. A week later, somebody had heard the interview, asked you for an audition for a programme, and then 6 weeks after the show aired, you got your first presenting job on BBC Scotland. Is that right?
My first TV job went out.
In sports, no less.
Well, it went out on my 19th birthday. Yeah. My first TV show. And it was on BBC Two in Scotland. And it was really great experience.
Yeah, of course it was.
I'd probably vomit if I saw it now because it'd be so painful. But
actually, there must be something, like you said, it was like, somebody comes on Blind Date and then all of a sudden they become a TV presenter. But as you've already illustrated there, it's not all of a sudden.
I did lots of work experience at the radio station. I'd go down there all the time. And then eventually when the show was airing, they went, will you come and do a chat about Blind Date? And I went, yes. Now, I had already been working and volunteering in all my spare time at uni there because I'd just got a real taster for telly. Otherwise, had I not gone on to Blind Date, I was going to uni, I did Spanish, Italian and Latin, and I hoped one day maybe to be an architect in Spain. Not that I was doing anything architectural whatsoever, but that's what in my head I might do.
So do you speak other languages? Yeah,
I used to.
Oh, you've forgotten it now, have you?
It's quite a long time ago.
Well, okay, fair enough.
But I get by.
So you were also co-host of Entertainment Today on Good Morning Television.
Yeah, so I'd been presenting for 6 years and I'd done big ITV shows, but more factual and consumer and undercover journalism. Ooh. So it was like that kind of evening slot. And in the end, I went and met the guys at GMTV and they went, we want to create an entertainment show. Would you like to present it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, please.
So Entertainment Today was born. And
but you interviewed like Tom Cruise and Will Smith.
Yeah, my first day on the job. Very first day they went, so for your first job, you're going to go to Venice and you're going to interview Clint Eastwood. And I was like, oh my God. It was amazing. That was my first job for GMTV.
But also Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I've interviewed him quite a few times. In fact, it's really interesting. So I've done quite a few things with the royals, as in the real royal family. And then I've done a few things with Tom Cruise. And the security checks for Tom Cruise are more stringent than they are for the royal family. One of the films I did was War of the Worlds. And they really like to check the questions because it was a bit sci-fi and, you know, he is a Scientologist and they don't want you to confuse any alien questions and mix it up with religion.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of approval that has to be done in security. And do you remember he came to London one time and someone squirted water in his face?
No, can't remember that.
A big security issue. So they're very strict with Tom Cruise.
So he was
doing an interview and a comedian squeezed a squirty microphone, which is like a water pistol, and squirted water in his face. Obviously, it could have been anything. And he's so generous with his time when he comes. I mean, you say what you want about him, right? He is one of the most generous actors when it comes to giving time to the press.
Because I've seen him on a red carpet.
4 hours he was out.
I was going to say, he realises they've taken so long to be there, out in the cold.
Yeah.
And he does selfies, he makes calls to their friends. I mean, he really is. He really
did. When I was working for GMTV, I interviewed him and I said to him, we've been waiting here for a while. It's lovely to meet you. My mum has been on the phone to me and he was like, let me speak to her.
Oh,
so
come on.
I passed my phone over. My mum, right? How the hell did she bring up haggis? I mean, she doesn't mention haggis ever. It's not like she's a true Scot. She has to talk about haggis. It's not what it is, but she somehow brought up haggis. And so I'm watching him and he's like, Jeanette, hi. And then next minute he's like, haggis, I'd love to try some haggis. I'm like, what the hell is she saying to him? It was so funny. So they had a little conversation and then it turned into this speak to the mum thing. That
did it? Yeah. No, I mean, and also one thing we don't bring up on a nutrition podcast surely is haggis. No offence.
Oh no, I would not eat that.
I call it mystery food. There's a category of
It's a
food that I actually
surprise.
call mystery food. So we have categories. People say there's protein.
But
there's
then
this.
I used to eat it because it's what you do. And it's actually quite nice. It's really tasty. But I just don't eat many animal products like
No,
that.
I
I don't eat many
understand,
meats. So the veggie haggis is delicious.
I don't even know what's in a veggie.
Oh my God, it's kind of like a bit nut roasty. It is amazing. It's got such a nice spice.
There you go.
Try that.
I haven't tried that.
So when
Well,
you do haggis, neeps and tatties on burn night, just do a veggie haggis. It's
By the
so
way,
delicious.
while we're doing this podcast, a film that's just come out on Netflix, I want to get your view on it. It's making all the rounds. It's doing big guns. It's called Game Changers.
Oh, the plant-based one. I haven't watched it yet, but
Okay, so
I'm really
you've heard
intrigued
about
on
it.
it.
Okay.
Are you a plant-based diet person?
No, I am primarily yes. Primarily, yes. But for years, I was a vegan. I was a vegan for 7 years.
See, I
but I'm
kind
not
of
now. I'm
envy
not-
people that have the control to be a vegan.
Well, I'm not now because I'm also human as well. The thing that changed for me really was understanding two concepts. One, the human body has the ability to deal with a certain amount of anything and remain in optimum health, right? So it was designed to deal with a certain amount of anything. Secondly, there's a rich tapestry of life to be had in the world. And what I didn't want to do is offend certain cultures or anything else. If I'm traveling the world, if I happen to be in a Bedouin tent in somewhere and somebody goes, this person's made this thing, I don't want to say, oh, well, I'm wheat-free, dairy-free, sugar-free,
Okay,
gluten-free.
but would you
know,
eat anything that was offered to you then?
Would I eat anything that was offered
Well,
to
if
me?
you're going to don't want to offend someone,
Well, it depends. Not
have
everything.
this bowl of rabbit eyes.
No, not anything. No, but it's hard because you look on Netflix now. You look at any of these films. Some films will convince you to be a carnivore. Some convince you to be a vegetarian, whatever. But I think
Which way do you think is the best way?
I think plant-based. There's no question. I mean,
But it's amazing in this documentary. Huge sporting legends are crediting their incredible achievements to plant-based diets.
Look, Jen, yeah, I get that, but there's also a number, if you look at a different documentary, that will also
there's the other
wax
side.
lyrical about the other side. I think, and I've said it a few times, so if you listen to the podcast, I apologise for repeating myself, but I think really the enemy is white refined fats, salts and sugars. And I think that actually when we have two sets of people arguing about is grass-fed beef better than an avocado or this, that and the other, actually fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds and lean proteins, I think everybody ultimately is in agreement that in the right ratio, in the right balance, it will do no harm and only good. And where our focus should be is against what I call the drug food industry and the manipulation of food. Because there's a massive manipulation of food. And I was saying to somebody earlier that, you can only eat so many oranges. Yes, but once you pop, you can't stop. And there's a difference. And one's been formulated essentially by scientists to compel you to eat more, and the other one hasn't. So, and it's a really funny art because people are getting really big on this. Is meat okay? Is plant-based okay? And I would say primarily, when you asked me just a minute ago, I thought, well, yes, plant-based. However, I know some very unhealthy vegetarians, because they're not vegetarians at all. What they are, they're starcharians or carbarians.
Because they're just eating breads and
Well, they're eating bread,
pastas.
pastas. They haven't seen a vegetable in 20 years,
Yeah.
right? Equally, I know some very unhealthy meat eaters too. They're eating high human intervention meat. It's not grass fed and this, that, and the other. Plus, it's mystery food. It's either sausages or burgers or anything. No one knows.
A nice barbecued sausage.
No one knows.
that is
Yeah,
good,
and the body can deal with something like that every now and then. Of course it can. And that's why the real argument should be against the white refined sugar mob. And I just think that actually in between here, if we eat a bundle of vegetables, a nice amount of fruit, whether we eat it, whether we get it in salads, soup, juice, blends, I think the vast majority of what we should consume is plant-based. Then I think if you want some lean proteins along the way, if that's how your body functions and you crave, fine, just make sure that it's good quality and this, that and the other.
You see, that's what I think on the whole that we, in our house, I survive mainly on really big salads. So salads filled with veg.
Is avocado your meat? Would you say?
I do love an avocado, but I do cook chicken. I put chicken on there as well. But avocado definitely, maybe some pomegranate seeds, maybe
But all the amino acids.
maybe
It's got
some
all 9
veg,
amino
maybe
acids.
roast some butternut squash, shove that in there. Just do stuff like that.
What, you're torturing? You're on day 3 of a juice and blend
I
diet. This must
know.
be killing you talking
Sometimes
about
I have
this.
to talk about it. Just
I know. In fact,
fun.
actually, if I gave you a recipe book now, right, with all the food in, it'd be like porn, wouldn't it, for you
I know,
now?
it would be like that. And it's like, well, I've been interviewing loads for Run Pod, which is my running podcast. I've been interviewing loads of Olympians, and they're saying that when they train for all these incredible Olympic events that they go on to, quite often win amazing medals at, all they want to do throughout it all is eat something that's not in their diet. And the minute they win a gold medal, they'll reward themselves with like a McDonald's. I mean, I thought they'd go to town, but no, they just want something like that or a pizza. And it's fascinating, but that's it. They just want junk food. That's the dream scenario for
Do you know
them.
it's so funny though, because people on and you probably be testament to this. I mean, you've done it a few times, but anybody who comes on our retreat, genuinely, I mean, I would say 98% of people, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, that if you do it for 5 days or longer, if you do a well thought through juice plan, that actually you do crave food at the end, but you physically want a decent salad or some...
Because you've gone... I feel guilty if I don't stick to this because I've done really well and I like the taste of really good.
But for some, it's a genuine switch. For some, it's a genuine switch. They know they can have anything.
And
they can have anything
wild.
they want. But yet they go, but I actually want a salad. You know, and they sometimes think, well, how has this happened? And nobody knows. It's like, we call it a reset because in 7 days on the retreat, people start looking at the book and start looking at the salads and everything else, and they're on day 5, 2 days before they leave.
On the retreat, though, is it easy to stick to it there? Because you know
We've got no choice.
Oh, you see, there's no one smuggles things in.
Well, they do. We check everybody's room. No, we don't. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to because it's stupid human rights, so we can't. But we do say to people at the beginning, if you brought any contraband in, you know, you invested time, energy, and money to come in for 7 days. It's only 7 days. I mean, if you can't focus for 7 days, you've got to ask yourself some questions. So we have people hand stuff into us. We had in fact, actually, we found 3 packets of Jaffa cakes once in somebody's room. We didn't, the housekeeping team.
Jaffa cakes.
The Jaffa cake. Are they a cake or a biscuit? Ask the VAT man in England. The housekeeping team said, what do we do with these? I said, just take them. And they went, what will they say? I went, nothing. That's the beauty of it. What are they going to say?
Yeah, because they've been caught.
They've been caught. Yeah. You took my... But people do hand stuff in. They once they're at the retreat, they suddenly realise, actually, it's only 7 days. I do myself a disservice if I do that. And so they're on it. But also the exercise, the sunshine, the fact that they have time to rest.
I bet you get a really good sleep. I bet you feel great.
Unbelievable. The first 2 nights, it's unbelievable. Because a lot of people, for the first time in a long time, are not having alcohol, right? So a lot of people drink wine every day or whatever the case is, and I'm not judging. It's different strokes for different folks. But they, all of a sudden, they don't have any false stimulants going in their body at all. So their body just goes, I'm ready for sleep. And as the week goes on, the biggest thing we get, whether people's on a juice diet, delivered or whatever it is people saying, I just slept better, I slept better, I slept better. And actually, when you get good sleep, then everything is easier in life.
Yeah, you come home tanned and toned and looking amazing.
But people, I say the challenge is you come back feeling so good that everybody always, I mean, they weren't keen on you coming out anyway, because I know that people aren't, right? It's a bit weird. You can eat what you want, get as big as you want, nobody mentions anything, have a green juice, is it safe? Right? So it's a bit weird world that we live in. But when they come on the juice plan, they come back. If they're enthusiastic about it, then of course people go, oh, you've joined a cult, have you? You've joined a cult.
Do people come for like longer than? Do people?
Oh yeah. I think the longest we had somebody there was 2 months.
No, 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months. Yeah.
No, of just juice.
Yeah, just juice. 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they? They must have entirely changed every part of.
They did, and they lost tremendous.
Element.
I mean, you've got to bear in mind, and some people listening to it go, oh, that's shocking. And were they overseen by a doctor? When somebody's genuinely morbidly obese and they have an eclectic mix of, on the surface, different lifestyle diseases, people are more than happy for people to be liquid fed by the medical profession, but they're not happy to be liquid fed by nature. So it's a very strange thing.
Well, I'm quite impressed. What I was thinking was they'd have changed, their mental outlook would have changed as well, because they've spent 2 months just kind of really probably doing a bit more thinking and meditating.
I believe your life is a result of what you feed yourself, not just what you put into your mouth, but also your eyes and your ears. So while you're there, it's immersion into not just positivity into the eyes, because positivity is a bit wishy-washy, but it's about the right education. So it's not brainwashing, it's counter-brainwashing. People say, are you brainwashing people to eat healthily? Well, you could argue people have been brainwashed to eat the wrong way. I mean, there's not a toddler that suddenly woke up and go, I need a Pringle. I don't think that ever happened. I think they were brainwashed somewhere along the line, or advertising or whatever. So yes, astonishing what can be done in a week on nothing but juice. And the average person, 3, 5, 7 days more than enough as a shake-up.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is. So a little reset. People say it's not sustainable. It's not meant to be sustainable. Putting your car in for a service isn't meant to be sustainable. So the whole point is just a little. But that's what you're using it for.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it makes me feel great. Makes me feel great. Although I found it hard yesterday evening. Day 2 evening.
Evenings are tough, because I find the evenings tough. When
serving
I do it as well.
my 8-year-old dinner, and I'm just looking at her and she's like that.
8? Cook it yourself. 8? Listen, my little fella's just turned 18 months old. I'm amazed he's not cooking already. I'm like, what are you doing, fella? Why are you still not taking care of yourself? I do have these conversations with little JJ. Things like, well, hang on, when a giraffe's born, it can walk straight away. This isn't clever. You know, the poor little fella. Anyway, listen, I wish I had tons more time. Listen, your podcast, I know I wax lyrical about it, but I've listened to several episodes of it. I think it's fantastic. If you want any inspiration to literally get running, get your body moving for different reasons than just weight loss, because actually that's what I love about it. It's really not focused on weight loss at all. It's about lifting the mental spirit. It's about just getting out there, getting air.
The focus is very much away from that, because
very
the
much
idea
away
is
from it.
It's not. It's just about feeling healthy and
Well,
feeling good.
You're not juicing for weight loss this week.
No,
at all.
not at all.
And that's what people don't realise. And sometimes they get you probably get attacked. Something. Are you promoting and whatever? And,
but there's calories.
I know
in
there are. Don't even get me started. I know that.
Anyway,
you're preaching to the converted.
The same with running. You don't have to run for anything other than just want it. And also a lot of people like it. It helps their mental state of mind. There's a lot of advantages to running. And
I think it's huge when it comes to I know there's a lot of talk about mental health right now, and there is no question that you put your shoes on, you get in the fresh air, you run around the park, and I would challenge anybody, no matter what mood you're in, and especially in the rain. I love running in the rain. The rain, if it's pouring down with rain and I run in the rain, there must be some irons or something, I don't know. There's something that goes on where my mood is entirely different when I come back. It really is. You just feel good. So the inspiration, and it's ongoing. I mean, you're doing more episodes all the time.
Well, in fact, I tell you what, if you are going for a run, why don't you go for a run and put Jason's Run Pod episode on, and guaranteed, because what we like to think is it's like you're running with friends. You're running. You don't have to get involved in the conversation. You can just listen, which means you can save your breath. And then we do the chatting, run with you, and you give loads of motivational tips. You will not slow down. In fact, you might find you run a little bit further, or you might find you run a little bit faster, but more than anything, you just be doing it. And that's what's most important.
Well, I love Rob Pod. And if you're up early enough, then obviously Heart FM.
Yeah, you can listen to me on
between
Heart.
4 and 6 in London, though. I mean, no wonder you got good listenership. I mean, like from where we're in Spain's a sleepy town. I mean, no one's up. But here,
I've got the 4 o'clock club between 4 and 5. Obviously, it's heaving.
It's heaving, isn't it?
So many texts every morning.
People are up early these days. They want to get on it. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on people as well.
Well, the earlier you start, the earlier you finish.
Well, so they say, but actually, I mean,
I have to be honest, I don't have enough hours in my day, so I like starting early because then I can cram more into the rest of the day.
Well, the podcast's inspirational. Love listening to your show as well. There's tons that I haven't had time to run through. Hopefully, in season 3, we'll get you back again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only, let's pronounce it correctly, it is Jenni Falconer. Jenni Falconer, everybody, come on, Jenni Falconer. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that.